let's move on to some phone calls. We have Tim. Tim is calling in from Montana, and he wants to ask us about our thoughts about nudity and parenting. That is an interesting topic, Tim. What's on your mind?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on. But I guess I just have had this ongoing thought, and I've been wanting to talk to you guys for a long time, but I have had this, I guess, just like, I come from a fundamentalist Mormon group. But anyway, I have a daughter. She's a couple years old, and I live in a small apartment with just a little shower stall, and her mom's African American, so she's mixed, and so we spend a lot of time doing her hair in the shower. And I'll find, like when she was real, I don't know, I'm sorry if I'm rambling too much, but
no, you're good. You're good, man. Carry on.
But she, like at a young age, like her reaching around and just like exploring my body and like my penis, where I'm like, man, if I was in that fundamentalist space, I'd be freaking out that she's like around my penis. But then it's like, I don't make any kind of deal about it. And it's, of course, not a big deal. And then just here recently, she's almost 3. So she's standing in the shower with me sometimes, and we're doing our thing. And she'll, but just the other day, she looked up and she's been telling me she loves parts of my body, loves my eyes. But she was telling me in the shower, I love your penis. And I just was laughing, going like that. It's totally okay the way she's acting, but like in this hyper conservative area, like people hearing those kinds of things, or like a dad being naked with his daughter, to a lot of people is uncomfortable.
To people afflicted by purity culture, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
but go ahead, Tim,
deep purity culture for sure. Yeah, I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts are on kind of navigating as my daughter's coming into, 3, 4, 5, more social, like thinking about me being naked in front of her. Because I am pretty passionate, and I'm an advocate for teaching kids about sex and their biology, because I was not, and it just puts kids at such risk. But I also don't want people thinking I'm a giant creep because they hear my daughter has seen me naked and is totally comfortable with my genitalia.
Sure. Well, I'll go first, and then I'll throw it out to the rest of my panel. I have 2 daughters, and I bathed with them, showered with them, even though at first it was somewhat uncomfortable for me because I was raised religious. And what kind of helped me, especially initially, if you're having some of those thoughts, is that your kids aren't thinking about it the way that these fundamentalist purity culture weirdos are thinking about it, right? Like it's just for them, it's not a sex organ. They just know it's a part of your body. They don't necessarily know what it's for. So I think at that particular age, it's completely appropriate. If it makes you uncomfortable, feel free to back away, or otherwise show her that you're not comfortable with her touching it or moving towards it or what have you. And as your kid ages, they're going to give you cues as to what they're comfortable with. So I would say follow those cues. And I think you're on a great path to raising a sexually healthy child. So that is freaking awesome. Yes. But Sinn, what did you have to say?
Oh yeah. Well, then after I started thinking that I wanted to talk, and I was like, I don't have a child, so maybe I should let people with children speak first. But I mean, that said, I feel like there's just, there comes a time when you're going to send your kid out into the world, to kindergarten or preschool or whatever. And kids are smart. And, just saying like these are the things that are okay at home, and it's okay. The same way you teach your kid, like nobody touches you like this except you and your doctor, that kind of conversation. It's like, we also, we don't talk about this. Like they're intuitive, I think, and they're smart. And I think what you're doing is a good thing, because I think that people should be more comfortable with nudity in their bodies, and that your body is nothing to be ashamed of. I think that's like a really important thing to instill in a kid. But I think this is also like really common because, I'm a godmother to a child. And when he was 4, he was obsessed with belly buttons. And he, like if I'd be lying on the couch and he'd come over and like roll up my shirt and just touch and play with my belly button. And he'd be like, can I see your belly button? And like, it was adorable, but it's just like these little fixations that they get. And I think it's innocent. It's honest. It's just kids being kids. And like we don't have we put the sexuality on them. That's what the fundamentalists do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to ask a clarifying question though to Sinn, not to put you on the spot, but when you were telling him about like when they go to school, these are things we do or don't talk about. Could you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I would have a little bit of pushback of telling a child, hey, this is our secret time, don't tell people about it. So I just kind of wanted to get like a little bit more
that's how
clarification
I
on what you were talking about.
I don't know if you're talking to me, but when I was saying that, I felt that, and I was like, no, I don't mean it like that.
Oh, good. Okay, definitely. Yeah, like I think it's really important, to make normal situations normal, and don't say like, hey, don't tell anybody, keep this secret, because as soon as they're told in school, if a family member ever does anything and they're telling you to keep it a secret, now all of a sudden you kind of do have a problem, just because that language can be really dangerous. But in terms of what you're doing, first of all, I want to say you're awesome because you are using the correct anatomy. Like you said, my daughter said you have a nice penis. That tells me right there you're not calling it a pee-pee or a wee-wee or a special spot or whatever. And I also wanted to kind of build you up because you didn't seem to make a big deal out of it. Like, oh, no, don't look at my penis. Don't touch my penis. It's my special, like, I know we're in the shower together and you're seeing it, but don't look. All of those things can make it really, really confusing for a child. The purity culture that we're talking about, where you're taught to feel that shame, just adds and adds and adds to it. But when you normalize something, it's just no big thing. It is a non-issue, and it sounds to me like you've done a fantastic job making it a non-issue.
Yeah, and before I let Christy respond, I just want to say, like what Sinn was saying, one of my favorite parenting lines, just generally speaking, when it comes to anything, is kids aren't stupid. They're just humans who lack experience.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, but Christy, please.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a whole lot to add here. Tim, I hope that this has been helpful. I'll just say that we are very much talking about something that is culturally bound. It's not immutable. If you look at what is going on in the beaches and in the bathrooms and in the dressing rooms in Europe or in Asia or in these different places, you're going to see all kinds of different things. And so when we feel awkward and uncomfortable here, I think we tend to assume that that's biology or that's innate in some way. And it just really isn't. Now, we do exist in this culture, this like very purity culture that our nation is made up of in a lot of ways. And I think we need to acknowledge that too, and sort of teach our kids both maybe the philosophy that we would want them to have while also helping them to be aware of the philosophy around them. We might all believe in freeing the nipple and in allowing women to have the same rights as men while still wanting to be like mindful to teach our daughters not to be topless on like a dark and empty street until they're, at the point that they can make that decision for themselves. But in any case, I think the best advice I could really give you would be to point you towards a great organization that we've had on this show before called Sex Positive Families. Sex Positive Families, sexpositivefamilies.com will have a lot of great resources on this topic and can hopefully give you some information that might take away some of that icky feeling, some of that discomfort that you're maybe working through. But I just want to say in summation, Tim, you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate you highlighting this issue for us.
Yeah, well, thanks for everything you guys said. Yeah, it's not something I'm not terribly uncomfortable with. It's just a weird thought I always have is that's happening with her. But and also thank you for what you guys were saying earlier about inclusivity, because both my wife and I are kind of on that pansexual, bisexual spectrum you guys were kind of talking about. And I appreciate what you guys are saying about holding those things loosely and kind of being accepting that it's or I guess, well, especially what you guys said that's useful, I think, is the utility of the word queer to kind of somehow state like, hey, I'm, gay, not what you think I'm supposed to be. So thanks.
Fair to say.
And thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah. Nate, let's get you unmuted. But yeah, Tim, thank you so much. You have a great night.
Thanks for
You as
calling in,
well.
Tim.
Yep.
Aw.
Guys, have a good night.
You
It
too.
sounds like Tim's daughter has a great head start.
Fair to say.
I think so.
Yeah.